Well, there were two things that I did want to talk about, um, or two subjects that I did have in mind to bring up. I guess we'll talk about. The first one would be the Supreme Court and its decision to um, find in favor of the baker in Colorado.
Oh yeah, I did. I did hear about that. I was listening to some news on that today
Mm-hmm.
because I was trying to refresh myself on the story.
Right. Well, for those of you who don't know, I think it was in 2012.
Yeah, it was way back then.
Yeah, it was way
Gosh.
back in 2012. This gay couple that lived in Colorado. They went to Massachusetts to get married because in Colorado, gay marriage wasn't recognized.
Right.
I'm not sure if it is recognized now, but anyways, so they went and got married in Massachusetts, came back and decided to have like a reception or something of the sort with friends in Colorado, and so they go to this baker and ask him to make a wedding cake for them, and he refuses, citing his religious, conviction,
Right.
and once this baker denied it, um, the gay couple quite literally made it into a federal case. And it went before the Colorado State Supreme Court, and it went through like normal adjudication process, first in the lower courts in Colorado, and then up to the Colorado Supreme Court. But the courts had all found in favor of the plaintiffs, which were the gay couple, citing that denying services would go against the Colorado human rights something or other.
Oh yeah. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and so
But the story is though, like, he didn't technically deny them anything. He's like, he said, if you guys want to buy like one of the pre-made cakes that are already here, he said
right. I think his contention was like, I can't be a part of it. I'm not going to make you a cake, but if you wish to buy one of these pre-made cakes and then augment them yourselves, then we can do business.
That's fine.
Yeah,
and it wasn't in. I'd say he was very consistent, because it wasn't just like, oh, because you're gay or whatever. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I'm not going to sell to you because you're gay. That wasn't the case. But he also didn't make like Halloween cakes, or something that oh, happy divorce, or like he's not gonna
even pastries with that contain like alcohol, like rum cake or something. He didn't make those things,
or like erotic cakes or anything like
that. Yeah. So the baker had a very consistent position,
right?
And so even in the state Supreme Court, they found in favor of the plaintiff, but then they went and petitioned it in front of for the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court heard it. And here's another funny thing about at least the reporting on this. Every left-leaning news outlet will say that it was a narrow victory or narrow decision.
Yep. I've been hearing that too.
Yeah, but the decision was 7-2.
Yep.
It's like, that is not narrow. That is an overwhelming majority. And what they're saying, but here's the thing. Here's what what the left does. They obfuscate. And it wasn't that like the number of votes was narrow. It's not like it was a 5-4. It was
right.
It was narrow in that the Supreme Court, the federal Supreme Court, didn't make a ruling on the overarching implication. It was just for the specific instance of this baker and his First Amendment rights.
Yeah, they weren't creating like a new law per se. They were
or creating a new precedent.
Yeah, that's a little bit a little sad, kind of.
Yeah, so they were just so basically they were saying what the state supreme court did was unconstitutional to this guy, and that's it.
Yeah. Not saying that it's like, that like this type of like, allowing people to have freedom over, their business model, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, and
Because what I'm saying is like, because on a certain level, it's like, okay, let's what was to stop that like couple necessarily from going to another cake shop or whatever? Why did they have to make it into this thing? It's like, and you could. We live in a country where you can let your dollar speak. If you think that guy is so, such a horrible guy, and like he doesn't. He's losing out on money on those things. Of his, he has conviction to do so. And I'm
right.
not. But if you feel so strongly about it, then it's like, yeah, go to his like top competitor.
Yeah. I mean, are you saying that he is the only baker like in like the city that you live in, or anywhere close to where you live, and that you can
highly
only
doubt.
get a wedding cake from this guy?
Yeah,
You know,
that's where
it's
it's like, to me, it feels like, maybe it wasn't like a outright like targeting, but it's like there's so many other options where you don't have to, you know, bring it to the court,
right. Yeah, it's
because there
um,
are there's so many people that are not going to care. It's like, oh yeah, hey, let's, congratulations, here's your cake. It's like they'd obviously
yeah.
do that.
I mean, and this is, and I mean, I hate to do, I hate to keep have to keep doing this, but it's let's reverse it. And this bakery owned by a gay guy, and someone from the Westboro Baptist Church comes in, is like, yeah, could you make us a cake that says, die fags?
They're not going to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And then like he's like, well, you have to serve me because you are a service based business, and by law you have to serve us. And then it's like, no, it's like I don't. It's like, well, I don't prescribe to your beliefs, so I'm gonna refuse you on those on that basis.
Yeah, but that's exactly what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean it's funny because of all the instances that this happened, because like the Christian baker in Colorado, the Christian baker in Portland, the Christian florist in Georgia, they they said that they don't want to participate because of religious convictions. But he's like, that's it. We and they didn't say that they couldn't get anything else from them. The bakers didn't. The one in this Colorado case, he said like, hey, take one of these pre-made cakes and then you can decorate it however you want it. And I'm pretty sure like the one in Portland too made you know maybe a similar accommodation, or offered a similar accommodation. And the same thing with the florist in Georgia. The woman there, the gay couple, they were customers of hers for years. Sold them flowers, no problem. But then as soon as she was a believer, and they asked her to provide the flowers for their wedding ceremony, and it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't. If you want a bouquet for your Sunday brunch for your kitchen table, then I you know I
No
can
problem.
yeah, no problem. But for this one thing, I can, my religious convictions won't allow me.
Yeah, there was something that the way it was phrase made a lot of sense to me. Is that we're kind of just thinking of the if we don't have any like standards for like what like marriage actually is, and there's been a lot of talk of like, well, what's the actual definition, and obviously like that definition has been moved around quite a bit
Mm-hmm.
in the past couple decades. But the one thing is that it's not just it's just not a regular event or some sort of thing like that. And when you're even when you're attending a wedding or preparing or helping out with like a wedding, you in a sense you're giving your like, yeah, this is I believe in this is a good thing, all that sort of stuff. Like you're putting your like a personal stamp on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so because I always get like asked like the question like, oh, would you if your like friend was gay, would you, and you got an invite, would you go? And I wasn't really sure how to answer that, and I over time I was like, you know what, I don't, I would probably not go.
Mm-hmm.
Just because but because it is like a way of you're saying that like you give approval of this union. And don't get me wrong, like I personally don't care if there's people who are gay and they get married. Awesome. Like one, because now the government got involved for some reason, and where certain people are getting like tax special taxes because they're married. Well, you can't hold that off for someone else. If they want to marry someone of the same sex, or a horse or whatever. It's
Yeah,
just
agreed.
you can't. It's like, but I personally I don't want the government involved with marriage.
No, of course
It's
not. And besides, yeah, like the whole idea, like even marriage license, those are racist. They were specifically designed to keep track of like so there was no interracial marriages.
yeah, and that's where it's like I really don't want the government involved in marriage. Like it has no right to be there, to be honest, in my opinion.
Agreed.
So, but now, but because they are, and not everyone is Christian. I don't expect them to hold themselves to those beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's fine. I don't care. If it, yeah, go for it. I don't care. But
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to actual like convictions, personal beliefs, and it's not because like I hate gay people. I don't. But yeah, I can't, like, I'm not gonna celebrate it. Just like I'm not gonna celebrate like someone getting a divorce, or someone stealing something from another person. It's like it's all
Oh,
you
yeah, or
know
like a woman who gets an abortion. It's like, yay! It's like, let's have a post-abortion party. It's like,
no, it's
yeah, that's like it's it's kind of gross. And
yeah. But yeah, it's like it's one of those things. It's like I'm not gonna sell. Just like I wouldn't want people like shining a light and celebrating like the things that are wrong about me, or that are sinful about me. It's like I wouldn't celebrate that.
mhm.
Um, and yeah, so that's kind of how I see things. And um, yeah, it's just, man, I don't know. I think it's kind of messed up that it's like, are you so spiteful that you had to you know destroy a man, and like his way that he makes money to pay
Yeah,
for,
his
like,
livelihood.
support his family? And uh yeah, because I don't see how he'll ever recover from this. I mean, he probably spent so much money defending himself.
Well, actually, Alliance for Freedom or something to do with some faith-based nonprofit did step in and help him with the cost of all his legal stuff.
Oh, that's something
But yeah,
positive.
but in the time from 2012 to now, that's a lot of revenue lost.
Yeah, because I don't think he probably wasn't like running his business.
Yeah, and so I hope he goes after the state. I hope he goes after those two guys who made this into a federal case when he was
Yeah.
perfectly willing to make accommodations, not necessarily bend his morality, but make accommodations.
Yeah, it's not like, hey, you're gay, get the hell out of my store. It wasn't one of those like, listen, I can't make a custom cake for you and like decorate and all that, but we have a fine array of wedding cakes and that are already made. There's all these great things that you could choose from, and whatever you'd like.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, no, you're not celebrating us being gay. Well, we're gonna have to destroy your life.